Now, we've depleted our strategic oil reserve while the world around us just continues to get more dangerous. And we've abandoned our post on the southern border at quite possibly the worst and most dangerous time ever. Now, with all these things and many more to worry about, we get this from the People's Republic of California. Now, California progressives seek a right, which is a right to disconnect from corporate communications, which is emails, during non-working hours. Now, the Assembly bill would grant employees a legal right to ignore an employer's communications during non-working hours, except for emergencies or work scheduling. How would you know what it was if you were ignoring it? I don't understand that. Well, California's labor commissioner could fine employers who violate workers' rights to disconnect. And if an employer or a client experiences a problem on a weekend, well, tough luck, right? Meanwhile, please note that California's deficit is $222 billion, and the state is $1.6 trillion in debt. You'd think they would have other things to worry about, right? Now, my next guest has her head on straight. Please welcome to the show, Rebecca Walser. I thought it'd be fun to talk about something different than the Fed and interest rates and all that other stuff, Rebecca. And what is going on? I mean, with all the things you have to worry about, this is what you put out front and center. I don't get it.
You know, Scott, I want to tell people something. Let's just get to something very basic and a simple truth. We need to start to rebuild with simple truths. You are your own captain of your life. You have personal autonomy. When you go out into the marketplace to market your skills for an employer, you have the absolute authority over your autonomy to say, this is what I'm willing to do. What are you willing to pay me for that? And in the event that you don't want to work after hours, check emails, be responsible for that, you simply say, what is the expectations? What am I getting compensated for? And if your employer says, in the event of an emergency or unusual circumstances, we want you to be available, then you negotiate your fees for that, and that's part of your package. When the government starts to treat us like we are incapable of basically negotiating on our own behalf as our own best advocate, then we know we've truly entered a nanny state and we've accepted a nanny state. And when we accept a nanny state, then what comes after? Now we're going to regulate your behavior here. Now we're going to regulate your behavior there. And it is a never-ending cycle until you get to absolute and total totalitarianism of government. And so I understand people are going to say, well, we have minimum wage and we have, protections. All of those things are true, yes, and there's definitely arguments to make them. But the truth is, in a capitalistic, libertarian type of society where we actually respect freedom of individuality, we do not need the government to insert itself in the relationship of defining work hours between employers and employees. And on top of the $20 minimum wage that just went into effect recently, this is going to cause more employers to say, I am not going to give you the authority to regulate what is, because the law is very clear. It says you cannot have, unless it's, something that is unexpected, and then the government gets to define unexpected. And then they can fine the employer if it was something that you requested that it wasn't met their definition of unexpected. So this is just a further lurch, Scott, in the guise of protecting people to actually insert themselves into capitalism and change it over to totalitarianism.
Well said, number one. Number two is, obviously this comes from the worker's point of view. It's not anything that any employer would ever bring up, right? But do we have the workers had it too good for too long? I mean, that they feel as though they can do this and they can demand a work from home? Because what I would say is this, there is going to come a time, workers of the world, that it's not that easy to get a great job and you're not in control and the economy is not doing well. And when it comes time to laying people off, maybe it's probably a good idea for you to be looking out for that extra email over the weekend and doing a little bit something extra, or maybe coming into the office and showing your face, because the first people they're going to fire are the people that don't respond to emails and don't show up to the office. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too simple and stupid, but that's exactly what I would think. So I sometimes think that the employee has the upper hand right now, and they're coming out with all these edicts. But I tell you what, when the whole thing flips, and I've been through some bad economies where all you wanted to do was hold on to your job. Well, a couple of them, two good ways to do that are answer emails and show up to work.
No, you're absolutely right. There are definitely people that want to differentiate and go above and beyond and further their career by saying, hey, I'm the guy that's going to go above and beyond. And now to have a law, an actual law that says employers, you're not allowed to expect your employees to do this. Again, this is just in the guise of protections for employees, a bridge too far, a step too far, and it is going, as an employer, I'm an employer, and I'm staying in Florida, thank God, because I am not going to be in any state that, have a business in any state that thinks that they have the right to dictate to me in my employment contract how I have to define work hours, and then whether or not what has happened in my company fits into their definition of what is unexpected and therefore an emergency, and therefore could request an employee to actually respond over the weekend or after we're on off hours. This is just such a nanny state. And when we accept the government getting into our private business at this level, we are inviting in complete and total government control. And Americans have to wake up and say, we are our own best advocate. No, government, we aren't helpless. We are adults. We are mature, we are professional, and we are our own best advocate. You are not.
Awesome. Well said. I'm going to leave it at that. That was perfect. Thank you very much, Rebecca.
Thank you.